You're not boring. You're not awkward. But there is something quietly killing your magnetism, and I guarantee you're not even aware of it. So let's fix that. Starting with habit number 1. And this one alone can completely change how people respond to you. Habit number 1 is the self-shrinking reflex. So this is the habit of making yourself just a little smaller than you actually are. Not physically, although yes, some people do literally fold inward. But what I'm talking about is energetically and emotionally and with your tone. It sounds like, oh, it's no big deal. Or it's fine, really. Or my personal favorite, someone compliments you, and instead of letting it land, you immediately deflect. Oh, it was nothing. Honestly, I just got lucky. We think we're being modest, but what we're actually signaling is, I don't quite believe I belong in this moment. And nothing kills magnetism faster than that. And just to be clear, when I talk about magnetism, I'm not talking about acting like someone you're not. Magnetism is simply the natural pull that people feel when someone is grounded and comfortable in their own skin. It's not performance, it's not volume, it's not being on. It's an identity that you embody, not a role you play. And it matters because magnetic people create easier connection. People listen more closely, they trust more quickly, and they feel more at ease around you. The most magnetic people aren't the flashiest. They're the ones who are the most themselves. This isn't about pretending. It's about removing what blocks your natural presence. A quick personal truth here. I used to be painfully shy, like hide in the bathroom at school dances shy. I never felt like I belonged in the room, no matter what the room was. And of course, once you carry that belief, people start treating you accordingly. It becomes this weird self-fulfilling prophecy. You think you don't belong, so you shrink, so people assume you don't want to be included, so you feel even more invisible. It took me years and honestly a lot of inner work to realize that I didn't need to earn my right to take up space. I already had it, I just wasn't claiming it. There's fascinating work in social psychology showing that humans gravitate toward clarity. Clear tone, clear posture, clear signals of self-acceptance. And shrinking muddies those signals. It makes you harder to read, which makes you easier to overlook. So if you know that this self-shrinking habit is something that you do, here's how to fix it. Start by expanding 1% more than feels natural. Not 50%, just 1%. Sit fully back in your chair. Speak at your actual volume instead of the softened version. Let a compliment land without batting it away. Simply say, I appreciate that. These tiny shifts communicate, I'm allowed to be here, and I'm not apologizing for existing. And people respond to that energy immediately. Okay, let's move on to habit number 2, which is the over-apologizing loop. All right, this one is personal because I'm Canadian. And as a Canadian, saying sorry is not just a habit, it's a reflex. It's practically a part-time job. We apologize when someone bumps into us. We apologize to inanimate objects. I have actually done this more than once. Trust me, I am not sitting on a high horse here. But here's the problem. Excessive apologizing doesn't read as polite. It reads as, your comfort is more important than my presence. Or even, I shouldn't take up too much space. And that quietly, subtly kills magnetism. Here's why this matters more than you think. There's research showing that unnecessary apologies lower your perceived confidence and social status. Not in a dramatic way, just in this quiet, imperceptible shift where people start seeing you as less certain, less grounded, or less influential. Apologies can become little breadcrumbs of self-doubt, and people pick up on them immediately. Quick story here. When I was a medical student, I apologized a lot for interrupting a colleague, for asking a question, sometimes for just existing in a hallway. And because I did that, people just assumed that I should be apologizing, that I was somehow in the wrong, or I was inconveniencing them even when I wasn't. It took me a long time to realize I was teaching people how to treat me. So here's how to fix this one. We're not eliminating apologies, just upgrading them. Consider replacing some of your sorries with something more empowered. Instead of, sorry I'm late, try, thank you for your patience. Instead of, sorry, can I ask a question? Say, I have a question. Instead of, sorry, could you repeat that? Just say, could you repeat that for me? And honestly, sometimes the best substitute for an apology is nothing. Just move on with calm energy. Because here's the truth. People who don't apologize for existing feel magnetic, not because they're rude, but because they trust themselves enough to show up without shrinking. Okay, let's move on to habit number 3, the over-explaining habit. Now, this one is sneaky because over-explaining doesn't feel like insecurity. It feels like being thorough and helpful and clear. But what it signals to other people is, I don't trust that what I just said is enough. Or worse, I'm preparing for you to judge me. And nothing drains magnetism faster than second-guessing your own voice in real time. So here's what over-explaining looks like. You give an answer, and then immediately add 3 disclaimers, 2 clarifications, and a small TED-style bonus segment, just in case. Or someone makes a face, which might just be how their face works, and you take it as a cue to launch into a whole justification. And then, of course, there's the classic, does that make sense? Tacked on to every sentence. We say it so automatically, it feels polite. But what it actually communicates is, you might not understand me. Or, I'm not sure I explained that well. Or even, I need you to validate that I didn't say something stupid. And the moment you outsource that validation, your magnetism drops. When I first started coaching, long before YouTube, I explained everything. A client would ask a simple question, and I would give them the National Geographic documentary version of the answer. Not because they needed it, but because I was terrified of being misunderstood. And yes, I ended almost every section with, does that make sense? And here's the thing, the more I explained, the less confident I came across. Once I learned to trust my first answer and let my words land without immediately seeking reassurance, everything shifted. Clients leaned in. They paid closer attention. They trusted me more. Communication studies show that when someone is overly concerned about how they're being perceived, their vocal tone shifts. Their speech becomes a lot more tentative, and listeners subconsciously read that as uncertainty. Magnetism thrives on grounded ease, and over-explaining suffocates ease. So if you know you do this one, here's how to fix it. Give your answer and then stop talking 1 sentence earlier than feels comfortable. Also replace, does that make sense? With, let me know if you want me to go deeper, or I can expand if you'd like, or simply silence. Magnetic people don't convince. They communicate cleanly, calmly, and without needing permission. All right, next up, habit 4, the validation chase. This is the habit of constantly scanning other people's faces, reactions, or micro-expressions to evaluate yourself. You're talking, and at the same time, a whole parallel mental process is running. Do they like this? Do they agree? Do I sound okay? Should I dial myself up or down or sideways? And the second that you start doing that, you leave your body and enter performance mode. You're no longer in the moment. You're watching yourself from above like a self-conscious narrator. Social psychologists call this self-monitoring. And in healthy doses, it makes you adaptable. But high self-monitoring, especially in real time, is linked to higher levels of social anxiety, reduced vocal resonance, decreased perceived leadership, and less trust from others. Harvard psychologist Amy Cuddy talks about how presence isn't a performance. It comes from trusting your own story, your own narrative, and showing up in alignment with it. When you're scanning for validation, you're not believing or trusting your own story. You're waiting for someone else to tell you whether it's acceptable. So here's what this looks like in real life. You check people's faces to see if they approve. You adjust your tone mid-sentence because of one raised eyebrow. You rush through your thought because you're subconsciously bracing for judgment. And here's the irony. The more you chase validation, the less likely you are to receive it. People respond to grounded energy, not the kind that is constantly checking for permission. So the next time you speak in a meeting or a conversation or on camera, say your thought and resist the urge to immediately look around to see how it landed. Let the silence be part of your presence. Let your own words be enough. Magnetism begins when you stop outsourcing your self-concept and allow the room to adjust to you, not the other way around. Okay, so that brings us to habit 5, which is the neutral persona. This one is subtle and incredibly common. It's the habit of smoothing out all your edges so you can be universally liked, universally accepted, and universally unproblematic. And yes, it feels safe. But here's the consequence that no one warns you about. When you try to be liked by everyone, you become unforgettable to no one. And here's the part that people don't talk about. Not everyone is going to like you anyway. Even if you try your absolute hardest, even if you are thoughtful and smart and kind and warm, someone, somewhere is going to decide, nope, not for me. And that's completely fine. You don't have to be for everyone to be magnetic. You only have to be for your people. A quick example straight from YouTube. I recently received 2 comments on a video, literally 5 minutes apart. The first one said, "Wow, this has absolutely changed my life. Thank you so much." The second one, 5 minutes later, said, "Wow, you're so annoying." Same moment, same me. Both commenters even started with the same word, wow. And that's when it hit me. People aren't reacting to you. They're reacting to their own preferences and filters and projections and triggers. As Dita Von Teese said, you can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, and there is still going to be somebody who hates peaches. If you understand this deeply, you stop contorting yourself into a bland, beige version of who you are. So here's what the neutral persona looks like. You stay agreeable, even when you have an opinion. You water down your enthusiasm just in case it's too much. You keep your real stories vague because you don't want to overshare. You show the polished version of yourself, but not the human one. It's the personality equivalent of unseasoned oatmeal. Pleasant, non-threatening, and entirely forgettable. And here's why this kills magnetism. People don't bond over perfection. They bond over specificity. The little quirks, the small preferences, the real emotions, the unfiltered moments. Magnetism requires texture because texture is what tells people there's a real person here, someone that I can connect with. Studies on social connections show that vulnerability, humor, and small imperfections create far stronger relational bonds than being universally agreeable. Human brains crave contrast. We remember what stands out, not what blends in. And when you flatten your personality to avoid rejection, you also flatten your ability to attract. Many of us, especially women, were taught that being low maintenance, easygoing, and nice is the safest social strategy. But that strategy comes at a cost. You end up dimming the exact traits that would make people feel drawn to you. So here's how to fix this one. Start small. Choose one opinion you actually share in a conversation. Let yourself laugh the way you actually laugh. Share one specific detail about your life or your past instead of the sanitized summary. Let people see the parts of you that aren't perfectly curated. You don't need to overshare. You just need to stop hiding. Magnetism isn't something that you perform. It's something that emerges when you stop betraying your real self in exchange for approval. And the moment you reclaim those edges, you become instantly more memorable because you become more you. Bottom line here for all 5 habits is that most people think that magnetism is something that you add, a trick, a skill, a persona, but more often it's about what you remove. The shrinking, the unnecessary apologies, the over-explaining, the validation chasing, the neutrality. When those fall away, your natural presence comes forward, and it's already more compelling than you think. Because magnetism isn't something that you perform. It's something that emerges when you stop dimming yourself to make other people more comfortable. And the moment that you stop doing that, people don't just notice you, they feel you. If you want help integrating this into your daily life, I would love for you to join me in the Reset. It's my free 5-day challenge. It's designed to shift your energy, your focus, and honestly, your identity in a very real, practical way. I will put the link below. And if you want to go even deeper into becoming more magnetic, watch the video that I'm going to be linking on the next screen. It's called 5 Tiny Habits That Make You Instantly Magnetic. It pairs perfectly with what we have talked about today and gives you some simple daily things that you can start right away. You will find it on the next screen, and I will see you there. The most magnetic people aren't the flashiest. They're the ones who are they're blah, blah. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is my first in a batch, so I'm just like getting blah, 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 ready. Getting warmed up, I think.